We want the best talent, right? But we don't necessarily want to spend our managers full weeks finding that talent.
You think everybody's doing it, the buzz is everybody's doing it, but few kind of have really figured out what it is and how they're doing it.
You know, once you open up that resume, you're not doing skills-based hiring anymore. I'd rather take those 250 applicants, divvy them up based on their potential, make sure that my recruiters are dedicating their time and their energy to those who have the highest potential.
Welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us in the next episode of Higher Thinking. We're joining you today from beautiful Las Vegas, out here for a couple reasons. One is we just came off a great customer advisory board meeting for our North American clients, and then now today we're rolling into the Unleash conference. Really excited about that. And today, also excited to be joined by my esteemed guest, Dr. Laura Fields from Spectrum. Laura, long-time relationship with you. Why don't you share a little bit with the audience about what you do at Spectrum?
Sure. At Spectrum, I am responsible for TA operations, so all of the tech that our recruiters are using, as well as what my background is actually in, selection and assessment. So that
Okay.
all, which puts everything HireVue squarely in my shop.
Gotcha. And just to give the audience a little bit in terms of scope, what kind of volume we're dealing with, like how big is Spectrum as an organization?
Yeah, so annually we're going to get around 1 million applications.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I would say depending on the year, 85 to 95% of our hiring is for our frontline roles. So these are our hourly roles. These are the individuals who come to your house to install cable and the internet. They're the people who staff our stores, selling mobile, the people who are staffing the call centers for service and sales. So that's without a doubt the bulk of our hiring.
Yeah. Okay. That's a lot. That's a lot. So just kind of in the spirit of being here at the Unleash conference, and there were some pre-conference workshops yesterday. Early returns are that artificial intelligence might be taking hold.
I've not heard of that.
Yeah,
Interesting.
no, you'll hear about it. So, and a lot of different takes on artificial intelligence. We just released a survey on artificial intelligence and kind of the acceptance of it. And what we're seeing from the survey is that HR professionals much more trusting of it. Candidates, not so much, not there yet. Some work still to be done there. But just interested, I know you've put your toe in the water at Spectrum, and just tell us a little bit about kind of your take on it and how you're thinking about it at Spectrum in terms of helping in the hiring process.
Sure. Well, first of all, where I'm mostly focused, right, is where we have most of our volume. So for those frontline roles, and I'm looking at any type of task that is repeated multiple times throughout the day. That fatigue could come into play, you know, where there's decision making that, you know, really might be aided by, you know, something else first. Like, for example, if we're going to put up a chat agent rec for, you know, 5 positions and we get 250 applications, and this is a job that doesn't have a ton of qualifications for it, where do the recruiters start? Because for a role like that, starting at the resume when there's no qualifications for the job necessarily is not a great place to start.
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm focused and where I'm leaning in with AI.
Gotcha. So just being smart about where can it add value, automate things that you don't necessarily need higher thinking
Right.
for.
I'd rather take those 250 applicants, you know, divvy them up, chunk them up based on their potential, and make sure that my recruiters are dedicating their time and their energy to those who have the highest potential for success.
And speaking of your chat agents, I know we had an opportunity to do a little pilot project, and speaking of artificial intelligence as well, in terms of helping to automatically score a chat simulation. Can you share some highlights around that and how you went about doing that?
Yeah, definitely. HireVue won a popularity contest for sure. When we came up with this solution, when we stood up the chat agents, it was in a position that didn't exist before, and we turned some call centers from, phone-based to chat-based. And the first thing that people want to do with that is understand people's writing skills and their ability to communicate via chat, which is a big undertaking when you're talking about the applicant volume that we have. So we put together a VJT. The VJT had a great simulated customer chat section where I think they talked to 3 different customers and have the materials to provide responses. But when we rolled it out, we had humans scoring it.
Yeah.
That was step 1. So everybody else can thank us for the work that went into there, right?
Yeah.
So we had humans scoring it, and we partnered with you guys, so we had our recruiters scoring it, and you guys had your IO psychologist scoring it as well. Then we're able to collect outcomes, hiring decisions, performance data, turnover, and all of that, so that then we can turn that data over to HireVue so that you guys can then train the algorithm, compare it to the human raters, both the IOs and the recruiters, and come up with the optimal AI scoring of it, which I'm so excited to say is in place. And more excited than me are all of the recruiters who used to have to manually score it. So massive time savings.
Right. So yeah, a great example to your point about automating something that maybe you don't want recruiters spending all day doing, and then you did the work to show that actually the AI can do it as well, if not better than a recruiter. So being smart about when and how you use artificial intelligence. Something else that we're already seeing here at Unleash, and we'll hear about it a lot over the next couple days, is this thing called skills-based hiring, which just you didn't have a chance to go to the recent SIOP conference. And the take there from the industrial organizational psychologists, of which we are both, was like, skills-based hiring, like, duh, these are just KSAOs. We've been doing this for 40 years or 50 years, and finally the rest of the world is coming around to that. So interested, and I'm sure everybody's talking about it at Charter. Somebody's saying, hey, Laura, do we do skills-based hiring? What's your take? What's Spectrum doing from a skills-based hiring perspective?
Well, one thing, since we're both industrial organizational psychologists, we know that the very foundation of our training was to always answer a question with "it depends," right? So that's then, of course, how I answer that question. It depends. Like, for example, for our chat agents, I think we do a really good job of skills-based hiring.
Yeah.
We have the VJT. Like I said, we're looking at those job-related skills like writing. We use an on-demand video interview as a part of it as well. And I feel really confident about the fact that we are truly engaged in skills-based hiring for that. So then you say, well, why not with all of your roles or other roles?
Yeah.
And to be honest, from my perspective, one of my biggest barriers in the organization are our job descriptions. Because as long as we're requiring X number of years of experience or X degree or whatever it is, that's then forcing the recruiter to go into the resume to verify any of those qualifications in the resume. And my motto is, once you open up that resume, you're not doing skills-based hiring anymore. So it depends. We're doing some of it really well, and we have opportunities ahead to do it better with other jobs.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's I think that's true of every organization. And if they don't say that's the case, then they're lying. I know last year at Unleash, or last fall at Unleash in Paris, I did a session and asked the room, show of hands, who's doing skills-based hiring. There's about 100 people in there, and 5 hands went up. So you think everybody's doing it. The buzz is everybody's doing it, but few kind of have really figured out what it is and how they're doing it. But you're on the road.
Yeah,
you're on the road. It's been interesting. It's been an interesting few years in terms of the talent market space, the labor market. And I know something that we hear a lot and continue to hear is just the challenge of some of the labor shortages we have. It might not be all your positions, but we're hearing it on certain positions for sure. And so there's been different reactions to that. Some have kind of completely lost their minds and just moved to kind of warm body hiring, that just like hire anybody. But I know you in your role, you wouldn't allow that to
Yeah.
happen even when your internal customers are asking for that. But what are some of the approaches, creative approaches that you and the team at Spectrum have taken to get creative around how you source candidates, how you match job seekers to opportunities when you might not have the luxury of having an overabundance of candidates?
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is that, since 2020 and 2021, where the shortage was mostly like on the professional or like the tech
Yeah.
side or something like that, what we're now finding is we have an overabundance of candidates in those areas. And where our shortage is occurring is in those frontline roles, which are the crux, right, of our hiring. And so how do you then source people for jobs where, like I've mentioned before, there maybe aren't necessarily, qualifications that like give you an idea of what to go out and look for? And one of the things that we've done is we use HireVue's Find My Fit assessment. It sits on our career site. We feature it in our ATS communications. We feature it in a lot of our recruitment marketing efforts. And essentially, not that I really need to tell you, but for everybody
do.
else. Yeah, exactly. This is an assessment that gets at interests, personality, work preferences, and different things like that. And then, based on how the candidate responds to these questions and what they are telling us about themselves, recommends to those candidates, hey, here are 5 jobs that you might be interested in. And it explains to them a little bit about their work profile. It explains to them about the jobs that we're recommending. But then, most importantly, we're linked to Explore Jobs. If somebody hits it, they go directly to our career site and get to look at the jobs that we've just recommended to them based on, again, their personality, their interests, and what we are taking information that we have as an organization and kind of repackaging it and giving it to the candidates so that they can make a decision. And so now we have, what we're doing is we're taking people like who maybe always knew about a customer service rep or knew how to search for that maybe on a job site, because maybe that's the role that they're in now. But now they have the opportunity where they're taking this assessment and maybe learning something about like, oh, a media traffic controller. That's something that I could do. Oh, Spectrum has dispatchers, and that's aligned with my interests and, how I like to work, and kind of points them in the direction of these other jobs then.
Yeah, no, so that's interesting in helping surface other roles that person might not have even known about, and sharing those as we learn that they have an alignment with their interest and potentially what that job is.
Exactly.
Yeah. So super cool. What has been what have been some of the outcomes? What has been some of the job seeker feedback? How's it being received by the leaders at Spectrum?
Yeah. So when at early launch, right, kind of all that we had was the job seeker feedback, which was overwhelmingly positive, right? This was really unique. Nobody else does this. I've never had an experience like this, and really positive, right? I'm finding jobs that I've never seen or considered before, and just really, really positive feedback. And, HR leadership in our organization loves it, right? Our CHRO is a big supporter of it. He feels it's the right thing to do for our candidates who are also our customers. It's aligned with our brand. It's about, Spectrum, we believe very much be an expert in your field, be an expert in what you do. And this is kind of the first step for some people to maybe say, oh, well, this is my field. Like, this is what I can go into and build a career and build expertise and really stay for a long time.
So it just makes a lot of sense. And the fact that job seekers are kind of getting this, wow, this is different, is kind of a condemnation of the space. Like, we all need to do better and think more through the lens of the job seeker and helping them find the right opportunities. So haven't fixed it yet, but like on the path
Baby
there.
steps.
Yeah, baby steps for sure. Another hot topic that not only here at Unleash, but just over the last kind of year or two, is kind of the converging of talent acquisition and talent management, meaning that we've seen the two coming together, that we should be thinking more broadly about talent, that a lot of what we do in talent acquisition lends itself very well to mobility and vice versa. So just interested in how you've been thinking about talent mobility movement within Spectrum, and maybe applying some of the kind of the IO psychology concepts to that, and helping do a better job of helping people once they're at Spectrum find opportunities at the company.
I mean, this idea of internal mobility and really emphasizing that and making that a priority really is the thing that brings talent management and talent acquisition together, because we kind of both have a foot in it, right? The employees belong to talent management, their development kind of belongs to talent management, but at the same time, our job opportunities, knowing where the availability is, kind of knowing the connections among jobs and things like that, sits a little bit more on the talent acquisition side. So it's been fun to work with individuals that maybe I hadn't worked with before on this. And the other thing that really kind of gave me a good hook to be able to elbow my way into the internal mobility conversation was Find My Fit. So I mentioned that we have that posted on the career site. Well, we spun up an internal version as well, soon after we launched the external. Why do that? Well, we have internal and external career sites. So those links that send people back to jobs, we wanted to send them, to the internal site if they're current employees. But as well, one investment that Spectrum has made for their employees is a Guild membership, which essentially means that you can take all sorts of certification and education at no cost to the employee. And what this kind of left the door open for, I know when we were first talking Find My Fit, it was very important to you especially that we don't offer a job to somebody like, oh, you would be a great software engineer and you just graduated high school, right? Like that's
one minor detail.
Right,
you have
exactly.
no background in software.
Please learn software engineering. You'll really enjoy it. So while it's not an option for my external job seekers, for internals, we started to add jobs with more qualifications into it, because like maybe it requires certain certifications if you're working a complex IT help desk for our enterprise clients, where we can say, hey, you might like these jobs. If you find that you are missing some of the things that you need, don't forget you have this Guild benefit, and we link directly to it, and we reference some of the certifications or things so that they can say, oh, okay, this is a path that I can't necessarily apply today, but they've given me the resource right here to be able to work toward it. So it's really kind of, again, repackaging information that the organization has and putting it into the hands of our employees so that they can really plan beneficial to both the employer and the employee, right? A long career with us, because at the end of the day, that's what we both want.
Now, I think it's such a powerful example and illustrative of this convergence of talent acquisition, talent management, of this idea of, hey, we're using this in talent acquisition, what it could be really powerful for mobility, but it's not the only answer. And then we tie it to this Guild program that we brought on that was just maybe just sitting out there, but now we linked it to, first we're gonna help understand who you are, what you're interested in, and then use that to point you to a potential education opportunity through Guild. So I think it's
because otherwise
love that example.
Signing into Guild can be just like signing on to a career site. Lists and lists of job titles, lists and lists of certifications that you can get, and without some type of like direction or a plan, which is hard to do at scale for a 100,000 person organization. This gives the employee tools that they need to do that.
Great example, and great stuff at Spectrum. So what's next?
Oh, what's next?
What's Laura cooking up? What's Spectrum cooking up on the horizon?
Well, I'm probably going to keep bugging you about let's add more in scope with Fit Finder, right? Or Find My Fit. Would love to be able to build out our internal instance of Find My Fit so that we could accommodate people who want to stay on their current career path. They maybe have a degree, they maybe have some kind of training, and they're not necessarily looking to change totally, but have that factor in and be able to recommend to them jobs that have that. So would love that, right? Would love to be able to use HireVue as my internal mobility solution. That would make me extremely happy. And we are hopefully going to continue to expand the use of our AI scoring of the on-demand interviews. We've had really good success with it for both our chat agents and for our interns. And in fact, I was talking to the leader of one of the call centers that has the chat agents. And they were saying, yeah, now that we stood up the AI interviewing, we just sat around one afternoon just like looking at each other saying, well, this is the time block where we normally would have been scoring those interviews, but like we don't know what to do with ourselves now. So I want to take that quote and expand it across the organization because we want the best talent, right? But we don't necessarily want to spend our managers full weeks finding that talent. So if I can help them make that more efficient and get them really good hires, that'll be a good win for this year.
Yeah, and I have no doubt that you will take full advantage and leverage that quote in many different ways.
Definitely.
So that's what's next on the work front, but known you for a while, and just as importantly, summer's coming up. Bands. What's the band that you're most excited about seeing this summer?
I'm going to answer with two. I've never seen Green Day before, and I'm going to see Green Day, so I'm excited.
It's going to be a good show.
Yeah, and the band that I have seen, but I'm really excited about seeing them again, Rolling Stones. Can't go wrong.
Classic.
Classic.
All right, well, that's a wrap here from Vegas. What happens in Vegas, we just shared what's going down in Vegas. And Laura, thanks for joining us. Thanks
Mike.
for all that you do. Love the shoes. And until next time.